Good morning, it's Jonathan Barratt with the morning debrief, 27th of March, it's Saturday. The Dow, interesting night last night, pretty mixed, not a lot of lead from the markets. We did get some good moving gold last night, and that was back on some Korean tensions. That was pretty good. And the US dollar, particularly against the Aussie, was a little bit firmer. That's something we've been looking at. Last night, we've got that long US dollar position. We also went long gold, just on the back of that, because we often find that sort of lifts things. And we'll be looking for about 11.20 out of that gold position. But let's see how it goes. Let's have a quick wrap of the night's events. Okay, just looking at here, as you can see, the Dow only up 9 points, pretty quiet there, 10,850. S&P up 0.86, the Nasdaq down 2, Russell down 0.13. Having a look across to Europe, was a negative picture over in Europe. And the Stoic was down 7, the FTSE was down 24, the DAX was down 12, and the CAC was down 11. So everything is just a little bit risky over in Europe, but in the States are obviously just quite mixed. I guess there's not a lot of major news there. That's the Korean tensions, which we had a look at there. All the other bits and pieces, really not a lot of work there on that front. Not a lot of data out also, and I think as we mentioned during the week, that things were pretty flat. Having a look at the general commodity markets, and I think that's where we find there's just a little bit of interest, particularly in that gold. And we'll also have a quick look at what's happening also in that oil market, because that's also quite interesting. Here we go, the dollar index. As you can see here, just by looking at the chart. There we are. You can see that dollar index. Looks like it's stalling here a little bit. Trend is still with us, so it'll be very close to see what actually occurs there. It'd be interesting to note the trade we have on at the moment, which is a short Aussie, long US, and of course we're long gold, short US. So we're trying to get the best of both worlds on that. But whichever break, hopefully one will break more than the other in terms of the return. So it's a bit of a spread trade, which I think is quite interesting and sometimes quite apt in certain situations, and I think this is one of them. Dollar index is there, as you can see. Come back, look at the Aussie 90.32, and the 90.32, as you can see, there's the hourly, just rolls off here and continues. Just have a look at this daily chart here, because that daily chart also says that there's a beginning of all the trends being with us. Very weak momentum indicators, and this can extend a little bit lower, probably around to that 90 area, maybe even that 89.50 level. So keep an eye on that one. Euro, as you know, we've all been looking for a place to get into that euro. We've been trying to buy on the break, and we haven't been, and that's actually the strategies which have been quite good. We should be getting close to a low here, but stay close to it. I will let everyone know when we've got a low there, naturally, because I'll be going in on it, and certainly keep you posted. Just having a look at the local markets, very strong recovery last night, and that was very strong. Look, it came out of, it was a curveball. We didn't actually expect to come out as fast, but we're hovering right at these areas, so be close to the market. It'll either represent a great area to unload some profits or a good area to start to put some hedge in play. But it caught us a bit by surprise, that move yesterday afternoon, but if we can stay above it, it bodes quite well for the future. But you'll know if we start to peel back that you should put some hedge in place. Okay, everything else is pretty quiet across the board. Not really a lot of other things to really talk about, except let's have a quick look at the crude market. The crude market in itself there, just as you can see, floundering at the top end, and we're still looking for eventual break. We don't know what's going to be that break and why it's going to break, but we're certainly looking forward to it, and hopefully it should break to the top side. However, as you picked up in some of my rhetoric over the last couple of days, we are getting that concern a little bit about inflationary concerns. All these little bits and pieces starting to come in. Stimulus packages were drawing off, and inventories continuing to rise. We had a build of about 7.5 million barrels this week, and that's not being used. It's got to go somewhere, and if the market doesn't move to reflect this build, then prices should come lower. We need to see lead from other economies, and when you look at what's happening in Asia, we have inflation, we have monetary tightening in both China and in India, and that's the engine growth of the world, the engine for the world at the moment. And if that's not happening, well then why should these prices be sustained? Anyway, we're putting a report on that so you can all have a good read. Okay, well that's about it. Hope everyone has a good weekend because you know it's yeah. Hope everyone has a good weekend and really reflect. I think it's worthwhile reflecting on what we're seeing with some of these this inflationary argument. But as I've said, the trades we've got on board, small long US gold, still got sugar and cotton, and really that's it. We haven't got a lot of positions on at the moment, just very small, just testing the water. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll certainly talk to you for the war report, which comes out on Monday morning. Talk to you then.